I was once lost in a cave for 28 hours. I'm going to tell you of the things that happened to me while I was trapped in there. It happened 23 years ago when my parents took the whole family to visit Uncle at his new place in South Carolina. Uncle Joe had moved to the countryside to get away from it all. Those were his words, by the way. His closest neighbor lived some 2 miles away, so that should give you a fairly good idea of how sparsely populated the neighborhood was at the time. Anyway, it was on the second day when my cousin asked me if I wanted to check out a really cool cave network. Charlie was 12 at the time and I was 11, so of course I would say yes. For a city kid like myself, it sounded like the greatest adventure ever. We had walked for about 20 minutes when we arrived at the cave. The entrance was at the side of a hill. It was about 5 feet wide and 3 feet tall. It was a pretty big entrance and I was expecting for it to have gigantic rooms inside. I remember getting nervous right before entering the cave. I asked Charlie how many times he had explored it, and he told me that he knew the cave network like the back of his hand. I guess I chickened out because I said, maybe we should have told our parents about this. Nobody would know that we are inside if we get lost. Charlie looked frustrated as he stressed. I already told you 1,000 times. I know this cave. I've been in there like a dozen times already. Look, my parents don't know about this place. If they did, they would never let me explore it. We can't tell them. So it's up to you, Brandon. If you're too scared, just say it. What is an 11-year-old boy supposed to say in a situation like that? You can't back out. You just can't. My reputation will be ruined for life. Or at least, that's what I thought of it at the time. Stupid, I know. Thus, we entered the cave with a single, tiny flashlight in Charlie's hand. Unprepared for the adventure ahead would be the understatement of the century. Once inside, Charlie definitely seemed like he knew what he was doing. He knew which cave to enter when the network split and which ones to avoid. Let's just say that I felt relieved. We walked for like 15 minutes when the unthinkable happened. We were on a somewhat downhill slope path when the idiot Charlie dropped the flashlight. We heard it roll down the slope for quite a while, then it made the sound, plop. It had dropped into water and there was no sign of light anywhere. Either the water was really deep or the flashlight had shorted out when it made contact with liquid. Charlie murmured in horror, "Oh no, that's the underground lake I was going to show you. We'll never get the flashlight back." So then I asked in a panicky voice, "We can still go back out, right? I mean, we just gotta retrace our steps." "I'm not sure," Charlie answered. "What are you talking about? You walked all the way here without even looking. You knew exactly where you were going," I spoke in a trembling voice. You have to realize, we were essentially blind without the flashlight. You absolutely have no clue what darkness is until you're trapped in a cave without any light. But yeah, Charlie responded to my idea on the backtracking as he said, "I had made small marks on the walls the first time I came here. I'm clueless as to where to go without being able to see those marks. I don't know how to take us to the entrance." I carefully sat on the ground and told Charlie to do the same. The last thing we needed was for one of us, or for both of us for that matter, to fall into the same underground lake where our flashlight was now resting. That'd be as good as that sentence. There we discussed what our options were. Charlie thought that my idea of backtracking would be the only way, but obviously after hearing what he had to say about the marks on the wall, I now had second thoughts about it. One wrong turn and we could end up in a completely different location in the network of caves. When it's pitch black, you lose the sense of direction. You only need to take a few steps forward in a true pitch black environment for left, right, forward, and reverse to become completely meaningless to you. Even so, the prospect of waiting for help without anyone knowing that we were there, it seemed foolish. Thus, we decided to feel our way out of the cave. Charlie led the way since he had been in the cave several times before. I held on to his shoulder so we wouldn't get separated. Then we just walked forward as we felt our way, touching the walls and the ground. After a while, it felt like about an hour had passed, then 2 hours, then 3, then 4, to eventually we even lost the track of time. I continued walking because we had no other choice. But along the way, Charlie tripped on something and he had sprained his ankle badly. He told me that he had twisted it at a crazy angle. Yeah, those were his words, not mine. Regardless, the point is, he couldn't walk anymore. At that point, we were left with an impossible choice. Either I leave him behind and continue searching for the exit, which seemed like the only way to get help Charlie needed, or we stick together and hope that the adults figure out where we were. Neither one of us wanted to get separated, but after about an hour or two, Charlie decided for us that it would be best for me to continue searching the way out. I was scared shitless at the thought of having to traverse through the cave all alone. But then I also thought about how horrifying it'd be to be in Charlie's position, unable to move and to be left behind all alone. I had to put on a brave face for him, so I told him that I'd find the exit no matter what. I promised him that I'd bring him help. As I got up and was about to leave, Charlie said, "Wait, can you come to me for a second? Just for a second." I got down on all fours and began feeling my way towards Charlie. I felt his knee and Charlie grabbed my right hand. I got closer to him and we both embraced each other at the same time. We both knew the odds were stacked against us. It was likely that would be the last time we get to hold another person's hand. Let's face it, the situation was hopeless. I left Charlie after a long hug. I walked and walked and walked and walked some more, but there was no sign of daylight anywhere. I was tired and I had to get some rest. There was also the matter of likely being nighttime outside. In that case, it'd be even more difficult to search for the exit as almost no light would penetrate the cave. I sat down with my back against the cave wall. Things got eerily quiet as fear began creeping in again. Moving about and having a purpose helps a person forget about their current circumstance, no matter how horrible it may be. But now all I could hear is me breathing and nothing else. All kinds of terrifying thoughts invaded my mind. I heard things even though nothing should be moving inside the cave. I saw things even though I was in a pitch black environment. Looking back, I think those were early signs of insanity setting in. I was slowly going nuts. I fell asleep like that, half crazy and half dead from the fatigue and thirst. Then I woke up, knowing little how much time may have passed. I got up to continue the search, but then there was a little problem. I couldn't remember which way I came from. It sounds simple enough, right? I mean, anyone should be able to figure that out easy peasy. But I don't know, at that point in time, I couldn't for the life of me figure out which way I had to walk so that I don't go back to the way I came from. I felt so defeated. Just the thought of possibly walking in the wrong direction made me want to pull all of my hair out. Even so, I had to make a call and I did. I chose a direction and just went for it. For all you know, I might have been in an even deeper part of the cave. Backtracking might even help in that case. I walked for what felt like a couple of hours. When I felt the breeze on my face, I stopped in my tracks as soon as I felt it. Then waited for another one to hit me. Sure enough, I felt another one hit my face some seconds later. The hope was all but gone until that point, but the gentle breeze was enough to put a smile on my face. I continued walking and the lights from the outside began creeping into the cave. I was close, very close to the cave entrance. I followed the lights as fast as I could, and when I turned a corner, my eyes were blinded from the sunlight coming from the outside. The light wasn't even that bright, but I was in a pitch black environment for so long that I could barely handle the sunlight bouncing off the walls of the cave. I was outside after a minute. I was so happy that I could cry, but I didn't because I couldn't waste any time celebrating. I could do that once I got Charlie out of the cave. I began walking toward the direction that looked familiar. The walk to the cave from Charlie's was the first time that I had taken that path. It was no easy feat to find my way back home through the woods that I was unfamiliar with. I walked as fast as I could. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't listen. I was too thirsty, hungry, and tired. I continued walking for another 15-20 minutes, and hallelujah, I saw a road. I took the wrong path because I was supposed to end up near an abandoned farmhouse, but nonetheless, I ended up in a good place. I began walking on the road, and some minutes later, I saw a pickup truck coming toward me. The truck stopped, and inside, there was an old gentleman. He rolled down his window, and I began speaking before he could even get a hi out of his mouth. I said, "My cousin needs help. He's stuck in a cave. I got out, but he's hurt. You gotta help me get him out of there. Please help me. He's been in there for too long and he's hurt." The gentleman assured me that he'd help me, but that he needed to get the right people involved. So then I hopped into his truck and we drove to the nearest gas station / repair shop. That's where the gentleman brought me a large cup of ice cold water and then proceeded to call 911. I don't know exactly what happened after that since the rescue was performed by the authorities. I only told them of what I know, then I was taken to the hospital after that. Thankfully, my cousin was rescued some 5 hours thereafter and he hadn't suffered any permanent damage. I remember us hugging for a really long time when we met at the hospital. We both cried. Charlie thanked me 100 times, then said sorry 100 times. The incident created a bond between us that's still strong to this day. Charlie's 35 years old today and still lives in the same town. He's married to the wonderful Kate, and the two have 3 rugrats who are as mischievous as we were as kids. He lives a good life. As for me, I'm still a city dweller. I love the countryside, but I don't want to live there. Hence, my wife and I, we take our kids to Charlie's a couple of times a year, every year. We have a great time every time we're there. The kids get along great, the ladies seem to enjoy each other's company, and Charlie and I are still best friend cousins. And yeah, that's the end of the story. I guess it's probably not that scary if you tell it to an adult, but for an 11-year-old, it was akin to experiencing hell itself. I don't go inside caves anymore, and I don't think I ever will. If you ever decide to explore a cave, just be sure to bring a backup flashlight. Good luck. Hey guys, Dennis here. So I was pleasantly surprised by how many of you had commented in the first video. I stopped uploading about 5 months ago. I thought it was 4, but it's actually been 5. I was expecting about 100 views in the first 24 hours, but the first video has actually done much better, so thank you for that. You guys might have noticed, I'm now using GTA 5 to record the footage for my videos. I'm sure some people prefer photos over video game footage, and I also know that a big percentage of you only listen. But for those of you who also watch, I gotta let you know that GTA 5 is here to stay. Because I use the game, I no longer have to worry about copyright issues or have to purchase expensive stock images. It takes a bit more time to make videos with GTA 5, but the benefits that come with it make it worthwhile. I hope you can understand that. Tomorrow, I should be able to upload another video, and next week, probably another one until Wednesday when I have to fly out to LA. I got a job offer there and the company's paying for the airline ticket, so why the heck not? I'll fly out to check out their company, go steam myself at the Korean sauna in my free time, and come back on Friday. All in all, I'm thinking 1 or 2 videos will be uploaded over the weekend. I'll see if I can set up an upload schedule eventually. I also have to ask you to continue sending in your stories. I mean, right now as things are, we've got plenty of stories that have piled up during my absence, but you gotta remember, this channel isn't what it used to be, and I no longer receive a ton of submissions like I used to. We'll run out of stories eventually. Lastly, this is not important, but I do want to comment on it. I think on my last video, I spoke about marriage and relationship in a somewhat negative light, as if it's something to be avoided. I want you to know that my words might have been spoken in such way, but that's only because I didn't go into it fully. I didn't want to bore you to death with my life story, and thus I kept that part really concise. I mentioned this because Some of the comments on that video have reflected on how my opinion on marriage and relationship must have come off to most of you, and they couldn't be further from the reality. I see my sister and her family, her 2 wonderful boys, and what she's building in that household with her husband. I see the value, the merit, and how wonderful it is to raise your own family. It's just that my life experience has drifted me apart from the ideals of starting a family. For now, who knows what the future holds for one. With that explained, I want you to know that I have tremendous respect for the folks who are married and have or plan to have children. Let's face it, these are the people who are building for the future. New innovations, exchange of ideas and opinions, these are the things that will save us from self-implosion. Our children and their children will have to play a huge role in repairing the things that we have messed up, as well as improving on the things that we have done well. I see that, and I appreciate that. I should wrap things up, right? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye for now.